Hello, hello, hello. Looking for my lighter. Good morning to everyone. To say to everyone watching the recording since it comes on so quick. Hello, hello. I've missed all of you. Hope you're all doing well. Just lighting some Palo Santo. Jennifer, hello. Good morning, darling. Chandrika. Hi, honey. Leanne, hello. Chantal, Stephanie, hello, darling. Hi, Connie. Missed you guys. Big bunches. How is everyone? Michelle's here. Hello, Michelle. You've been making more fancy organite, Michelle. Hi, Donna. Hi, Lori. Oh, it's so good to see you. Well, see your spirit, technically. I'll see you guys on the mentorship in an hour, hopefully. How is everyone? What have you guys been up to? Hello, Adriana. Hi, Keisha. Hi, Amy. Hi, Alicia. Loy is here. Hello, gorgeous. Legit Loy is in the house. It's good to see you, beautiful. Hi, Jennifer. So good to be on here with you guys. What have you guys been up to? How was your week? How is everyone handling all this retrograde we're dealing with right now? We're in double retrograde right now. Wonderful. So good to be back, even though I'm kind of sad to be gone as well. It's really nice vacation. I had a wonderful, wonderful time. I can't go into too much detail, but I got to visit my my beloved Evanon while I was gone, so that was really nice. Can't go into too much about what I did while I was gone because I've been a very busy lady. This is why I'm drinking a giant smoothie this morning because I need my my good things. Jennifer says retrograde hasn't been bad for me. That is really good. I'm glad to hear it. Hi, Janet. Thank you, darling. Hi, Alma. The holiday was incredible. Had a wonderful time. I'm a little dehydrated after that damn airplane ride yesterday, but all good there. So, what have you guys been up to? Loy says she needs a vacation for Jamaica next. I think we should all go to Jamaica, Loy. Let's do it. Janet says I have been admitted for almost a week and I'm ready to go home. What have you been doing, Janet? What do you mean admitted? You've been in hospital or something? Jordan, nice to see you, darling. Mercury managed to screw something up for me this week, Michelle says. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Michelle. I hope it's getting better for you. Hi, Stacy. Love you. Hi, Marla. Nice to see you. So good everybody's here. All the star seeds and their seeds are in the house today. I love it. Donna says feeling empowered. Did second Dragon Code session. Fascinating. Very cool. Hi, Ashley. Nice to see you, darling. Hi, Raquel. Oh, I've missed you guys. It's so good to be back. I had an incredible week though. I can't put it into words how nice it was to kind of escape from the matrix for a week. But a lot of things have been happening. So many things I could write a book. I could probably write 2 books about the amount of things that have been happening. But ironically, most of it I can't talk about right now. Not yet. I have been sowing seeds. I've been sowing some very big seeds. And I'm waiting until those seeds start to flower before I'm going to start talking about them. Because as many of you know, sometimes you talk about things too soon and it sours it. So, but I will keep you guys updated as best as I can. There's wonderful, wonderful, exciting things that are happening. Also, some absolutely horrific and terrifying things that have been happening, and some heartbreaking things that have been happening, which is why I say I could write a whole fucking book about all of it because it's been a mix of joy and terror and excitement and just all of the above, just all the emotions. It's been a hell of a train ride recently, but the shift is intensifying, and I feel really, really good. I woke up with a headache this morning. Thank you, Bradley, for calling out for me because I do feel better. I asked Bradley, I was like, Bradley, I think I'm cut off right now. Can you please just check? So I'm already feeling better. Thank you, Bradley. This is the thing. When you travel through airports, it's very hard to get home sovereign, if you know what I mean. Like, because the energies in that airport is intense. And I'm telling you now, like they wait for people to come through there. Anytime you have people that are like herded like cattle, it's almost like there's little traps that have been put through there. And I'm telling you, just going through security is one of those traps. And like going through security, my vibration, going through that damn machine they always make you go through. I'm telling you, it does things to your etheric. And it really, ever since I went in that machine, I wasn't feeling right. So it makes you wonder what they do to you at the airport when you're coming through those damn machines that they make you, spread them. I always try to get around those, but they always seem to mess with me. Those damn scanners. But yeah, thank you. I'm already feeling better. I had a little bit of a headache this morning, and that's why I was drinking this big green thing, trying to make the headache go away. But it's already helping. Thank you, Bradley. You're the best. Leanne says, I always feel disoriented at an airport. Yep. Yeah, I think that's by design. Whenever you're disoriented like that, you're ungrounded. So, yep. Michelle says, I always have to check my shoulder or my elbow right after that scanner. Yep. They always get you. I know for a fact, right? Every time you go through there, you end up with like these weird tracking devices. In fact, my left ankle's been hurting me this morning too. And I just looked down at it like, because whenever you go through those areas, like I said, they want you to pick up stuff. They want you get implants and all kinds of shit. So I'm pretty sure, like, it was really funny. The other day, I did a clearing on somebody and they had tracking device, 2 of them on her feet. And I was like, where the hell did she get so many tracking devices? And they said, oh, she was just on an airplane. I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I put that in the report, and sure enough, the lady messaged me back, and she's like, "You're right. I was on an airplane 3 days ago." And I was like, "Well, see, that's what happens, little bugger." So it's a good idea to book a clearing, even just a quick clearing for yourself after travel, just to make sure that you don't have any funky stuff on you. Because yeah, that's where they get you, the buggers. They get you anywhere that you have to go. You know what I mean? Like you don't really get a choice in going to the airport when you need to travel. You don't really get a choice in going to the hospital too much when you are sick, or dealing with any of this government crap. So yeah, they make you go into those areas that are loaded with booby traps, so to speak. But I'm feeling much better now. Thank you. In fact, I'm gonna light some more sage just in case. Some more Palo Santo, because you just never know what kind of funky stuff you're taking home with you. I gotta go smudge everything I brought with me now going through the airport. Jordan says, over the holiday, my friend, his wife, and their 5-month-old baby's oh my God, their home caught on fire right before Thanksgiving. What a terrible time for that. Their neighbor out them in a hotel for 2 nights. I sent them. Oh, it's so good of you to help them. What? With our help and a couple other people's, they were able to move back to their mobile home. Literally 4 days later, my neighbor came over and signed his Mustang over to us. Is this a coincidence? What? What? Jordan? What? That is incredible. The universe just gave you like a gift basket. That's really neat. Interesting. Oh, so any new developments? There's been all kinds of stuff going on, I'm sure, over the last week or two. Things have been getting kind of exciting. I'm very happy for you, Jordan, by the way. That's really, really cool. So, and especially, yes, Janet, definitely smudge yourself when you get home. And sea salt baths. Sea salt baths are a big deal. Big, big deal. You really need those sea salt baths. And What else should we talk about today? My brain is kind of like, because of I got home at like 2 a.m., so I'm a bit out of it this morning. What would you guys like to chat about? Anybody have any questions about anything? I've been obviously doing some write-ups while I wasn't able to come on the podcast. I thought, well, I'll take an hour or so to write up something from the morning. So thank you guys for sharing my posts the last few days about like the star seeds and earth seeds and about the dark contracts and dark magic post, which was a very important post, by the way. There was a certain person who motivated me to write that. You know who you are. Will not say anything more. But yes, there was somebody who inspired me to write that post. So I'm very grateful though to be back home, and I'm glad that we're going to be doing the mentorship today. If you guys have anything you want to discuss privately today on the mentorship, we can also do that because I'm going to be on Astara. Great blue hair on YouTube says, where are your posts? Can I post like write-ups on YouTube? I think I can actually. I'll start posting them on YouTube as well. Can you talk more on earth seeds at some point? I'm happy to mention it now if you would like. Earth seeds are souls that have really never left Earth. There are many beings that have chosen to spend almost their entire soul evolution here on Earth, because you can start your whole soul evolution if you think about it. You can choose a planet and be starting out from everything from like air molecules, water molecules, you name it, working your way up to more and more complex bodies such as bugs, and then small little critters. You can be a mouse, you can be anything, like working your way up this huge line of different animals and elementals and even extraterrestrials, technically, since so many of them are here on this zoo of a planet. But earth seeds are very powerfully connected to the earth. They have Gaia's energy flowing through them, and they are able to connect with Gaia very easily. These are people that tend to be more grounded, people that tend to be more connected with elementals and the Fae, because that is very much connected with Gaia's energy. The earth seeds are also very much connected with our own earth history. You guys know Katie Jordan, for example. Katie Jordan is a perfect example of a very, very powerful earth seed. Katie has, spent almost all of her incarnations here on Earth. And because her vibration is so intensely high, that is why she is able to channel Christ consciousness to the degree that she does, the Mary Magdalene line of that. So she, when you are a very powerful earth seed, you are able to connect with that Magdalene energy very, I wouldn't say easily, but more easily than somebody that is new to this planet, because it's a foreign frequency to you. If you're a star seed and you're coming here, it's a lot easier for you to channel a galactic, because that is more in line with your frequency. So the vibration may both be high for an earth seed and a star seed, but it's a frequency change. It's kind of like you're playing a game, but one is designed for Xbox and the other is designed for PlayStation. Like, it's different hardware, so to speak. So yeah, it's very interesting how, vibration is one thing, but the frequency change is an entirely different thing. And when you are a very powerful earth seed, you are able to channel all kinds of things. Like Rachel Chamness is another very powerful earth seed. I actually asked the other day, I was like, is Rachel a star seed or an earth seed? And they're like, well, technically she's kind of both, because she's a very powerful earth seed, but she's also has some galactic thing there, which is why she can channel the Blue Avians. So you can be a very powerful earth seed, but also have some of the frequency of being a star seed, if that makes sense. So you can be kind of a blending. The blending that I've noticed the most is for the veteran star seeds, because they have been on Earth for, 12,600 years. That's a hell of a long time in order to develop your Earth consciousness to a degree. So it's kind of like you're a mix. You're both. If there's any other questions about that, feel free to ask them. Jordan says something scary happened over the holiday also. I've been feeling emotionally unstable for a few weeks. I know it's entities. I dropped my daughter from my mom the other day because I was struggling to function. As I was driving, I started having intrusive thoughts telling me to jump out of the moving car onto the highway. Yeah, see, Jordan, that is a major red flag. I'm really glad that you recognize those were not your thoughts. Many of us are activating our telepathy at an astounding rate. My abilities just for the last 2 weeks or so since my fast, as many of you are aware, I had a 13-day fast, and that was intense. It was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. But I'm actually going to do it every year from now on, considering how effective it was in boosting my frequency. Like even the guides were like, whoa. They were like, damn, Laura, your vibe is just skyrocketing. So it's what happens, when you are able to raise your vibration, you start picking up other things. You start tuning into other frequencies. And some of those frequencies are going to put lovely little happy thoughts in your head. And other ones are going to try and torture you and try and make you do horrible things. If you ever walked around like a bridge or somewhere or looking down over the bridge and then you hear jump, jump. Yeah, that's not you. That is probably an earthbound or some asshole entity that is standing on the bridge trying to tell you that. So well done for recognizing those thoughts. Well done for actually calling them out on it too, because you can say things to it. If you have those thoughts, you can call those thoughts out like an intruder. You can just be like, hey, that wasn't me. Who the hell was that? And say, I'm calling on my guides to clear anything that is affecting me, any foreign frequencies that are not of the highest of light. I am sending them away now. But there's another really cool thing you can do. We were discussing this the other day in one of the posts, where you can even, just call in your love to these beings, right? If you sense that something is there, let's just say most of the time it's probably an earthbound, because the earthbounds are everywhere and they have no respect for boundaries. They just don't give a shit. So the earthbounds, the people that haven't crossed over yet, many of them are the ones that are putting those thoughts in our head, because they're just matching frequency. It's a lot easier, to tune into earthbounds for people, which is why there's a lot of mediums out there. But the people that are connecting to you, if they're not saying nice things, that's when you say, look, I know this is not me. I know there is someone else here that is affecting my thoughts. And you say to them, I love you, because you don't want to tell them to fuck off. They're going to be like, oh, no, I ain't going nowhere. You can say, look, I love you. Thank you for coming to visit me, but you are not welcome here. I am sending you away because I do not want anything that is not of the highest light to be affecting my energy. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. You can tell them to leave. Say, I have free will and you are not allowed to influence my free will by messing with my mind. So please leave. And you may actually feel a shift in energy when you do this. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It really just depends on who's attached to you and why. So yeah, if it doesn't change anything, if you're still noticing there's something going on, that's when you just book a clearing and we can chase them off for you. But there's a lot of opportunists out there. So please keep in mind that many of them aren't trying to be evil. They're just opportunistic in nature and they like your energy, especially those of you who are empaths and have a high frequency. Because it's funny, in fact, one of my favorite cases with Dr. Palmer, if you go on his YouTube, he was tuning into this lady and she had an earthbound. And he's like, all right, well, who are you, earthbound? And it was a monk. Like, it was a deceased monk. And he's like, what are you doing here, Mr. Monk? Like, you're not supposed to be. You know better than this. Like, it was really funny. The way Dr. Palmer was like, hey, you're a monk. You should know better. And the monk was like, yeah, I guess I'm a naughty monk. That's what he said. I guess I'm a naughty monk. He's like, I just liked her energy, though. She's got nice energy. Like, all right, But then he called over his brothers. Chen opened the doorway and called him his monk brothers, and they all were like, come on, get over here, and he left. So it's funny how you can actually open a doorway. If you go into somewhere like a hospital when there's a lot of earthbounds around, you can set the intention to open a doorway and let them cross over. Just make sure you shut the damn door when you're done. It was really funny. Last night I had a shower and everything when I got back. And I went to wipe the the condensation off my mirror. And I was like, oh shit, wrong way. I was rubbing it the other way, counterclockwise. like, no portal's opening right now. It's really funny how you just catch yourself doing things without even recognizing what you're doing. So anyway, just keep that in mind. Bradley says, at some point in our lives, we have had some very low vibrational moments where we needed some love from someone to help us stand back in our power. Well said, Bradley. Remember that when you have something of low vibration trying to affect you, send them some love, but be firm in the fact that they need to move on with a hug of love. Well said, Bradley. Yep, exactly. You got to put your foot down, but in a nice way, so to speak. Like, like a firm father figure would be like, no nonsense. You know what I mean? Like loving, but no nonsense. Chantal says, I had an earthbound come by a medium friend who came specifically to ask me for some assistance to cross over. Yeah, they'll do that. If they know that you're going to be a ticket to home, technically, they will. They will see your bright light and be like, oh, I wonder if this chick will cross me over. Yep. If they are aware that you're picking up their energy, they do tend to be even more entranced by you because they think about how many people ignore earthbounds. Think of how many people can't hear them. So when they're in public and they say something and somebody hears it and they know they can hear it because they can tell, they can read your thoughts. That's when they're like, ooh, we've got one that can hear. And they get very excited about that. So anyone that is a gifted empath, especially going out in public, it's a good idea to do some extra protection. Can anyone encourage me how to overcome my fear of sleep paralysis? Hi, Joshua. If you don't mind me asking, I need some information on your sleep paralysis. What kind of sleep paralysis are we talking here? Does this happen when you're already sleeping? Like, do you wake up in paralysis? Or does this happen like as you're slowly falling asleep? Because those are two very different lines of context there. Because if you are just drifting off, right? You ever feel like your hands are tingling and your hands are falling asleep, or your feet are starting to fall asleep and both of your feet go numb and they start tingling like crazy? Yeah, that is when your body is going to sleep. Like your whole body will go to sleep. And when that happens, your body will start to tingle like crazy and go numb. But if you wake up in the middle of the night, if you wake up in the middle of the night and there's something messing with you, something that you can feel the presence of, and you're just frozen and you can't move while sleeping, when I'm doing or trying to practice astral projection, then. Okay, so that is actually a success, technically. All right, so if you can't feel any other foreign frequencies in the room, because you can tell when you're being watched, when it's real sleep paralysis, entity-induced sleep paralysis, you can sense the entity in the room. All right, it's going to give you really creepy vibes. You're going to have goosebumps all over. You're just going to know that something isn't right. You won't be able to like move very easily. They basically come in and sit on your chest. It's not a very nice thing that the entities do. But the thing is, right, there's a complication there because when you're trying to astral project, you are able to connect with your astral body easier than you are to your physical body. And when that happens, when you're in the process of switching between your perception of your physical body and your perception of your astral body, your physical body will start to go numb and tingly. So if that is happening, if the numbness and the tingles are happening, that is a sign. And then the sleep paralysis happens. That is a sign that you are actually shutting your body down and your body is starting to, your mind is keeping awake while your body is going to sleep, right? I'm going to be teaching an astral projection class in like 2 weeks. So if you want to learn more about this, I talk about this for like 3 hours in my astral projection class. But to shorten all of that, oh shit, yep, he says he's seen horrible faces. Okay, yep, now we have the answer. This is why psychic protection is really important, because just trying to astral project, unfortunately, they will start messing with you because they know you're coming into their realm, so to speak. And this is also true for people who aren't even trying to astral project, because many of you do it naturally in your sleep without even being aware of it. Just because you don't really remember much doesn't mean you're not astral projecting. Because your conscious mind does not log everything that happens when you're out of body. So it's not even about the fact that you're not remembering it. It's the fact that you're not downloading those memories to your body when you go back into body. Because you're always in your body technically. You're sending your frequency to your body and your brain is picking it up like a receiver, right? So if you are actually being messed with in your sleep state, then something is getting in the way of that frequency coming into your, into your receiver. So yeah, that is why whenever you are astral projecting, you really do need to be more mindful about visualizing psychic protection before you go under. Every night before bed, Joshua, I would have a sea salt bath. I would cleanse the room before you begin. You need your room to be in a very high vibration. I would smudge it first. I have a diffuser next to my bed. Like I literally just hit the button and all of a sudden it starts pumping frankincense into the room. So if anything fucks with me in my sleep, I just hit the button and roll over and go back to bed. Like it just raises the vibration of the room drastically. So maybe even get like a diffuser. If you go on Amazon, there's one that looks like a genie bottle. It's really cool. That's the one that I have. It looks like a tall little thing, but literally it's got an app for it even. You just hit the button and it'll pump all kinds of wonderful essential oils into your room. I recommend getting some sage, some Palo Santo. There's all kinds of different ones though. In fact, do I even have, I think I have a bunch of different ones. See, you can get things like this too. It's like white sage and rose oil. This is one of the ones that I got at a crystal show the other day. This one has, which one is in this one? Essential oil of sage, cedar leaf, eucalyptus, mugwort, rose, and geranium. So things like this will raise the frequency. So you can spritz yourself as well before bed. If you want, you can make your own. You can buy some white sage, boil it, and then when you have it boiled, then you can add other essential oils to that water. You can add sea salt to the water. You can add all kinds of things. Just be aware that animals can't be around, what was it? Lavender, they can't be around cedar. Animals can't be around eucalyptus, can't be around tea tree, which ironically are all things that are really good for parasites. So if you've got animals around, I would do sea salt and citrus for the sake of the animals. And sage, they can also do sage. Palo Santo is really, really good. Palo Santo is more for raising frequency than cleansing because you get both. You get frequencies that are, kind of funky in the house that need to be cleansed. And then you want to raise the vibration back up. So that is why you notice a lot of people will burn sage first for the cleansing. And then you can also raise it back up. Chantal says cats hate citrus. Well, it's better than making them sick with other things. It's kind of funny. So if you have like cat beds and cat food and stuff, sometimes it's better to just spray sea salt. Just spritz some sea salt around their little beds and stuff because the animals get affected by astral parasites a lot. And they also get affected by the level ones, those elementals. If you ever see your cat swiping at things that you can't see, it's probably an elemental. JC says, I'm having a roach problem using the... Oh, you should burn for roaches and other critters like that. Astral parasites and critters, if you have them. The best smudge you can get for that is sage. Not sage. Oh, my God. Bay leaves. Bay leaves. My brain is... I told you, my brain is like, it's off today. Bay leaves are really, really good for clearing all kinds of astral critters around. So if you think you're dealing with astral parasites, that's one of the best things you can also smudge with. Bay leaves. My animals are always around my lavender. Well, a lavender essential oil is what I'm talking about, not lavender the plant. But lavender essential oil is a no-no for pets. It's just not good for them. It makes them sick. Joshua says, my dreams are real. Yeah, of course, all dreams are real. Everything is real. Everything is real, my friend, including your dreams. Lynn says, I'm an empath and I know all too well the energies you absorb from being out in public. Oh, yeah. Public is a big mess. But keep in mind, so is the public astral, too. So you never know what you're going to pick up. Yes, you can burn bay leaves. In fact, it's really cool. One of the things we got, because I was in Grenada, they sell bay leaves, and some of them are like this big. And you know what they used to do with bay leaves? They would write names down on them, or they would write words down on them, and then you burn the sage, or I keep calling it sage. You burn the bay leaves, and then it sends whatever the message is. Um, you can manifest things that way too, which is interesting. You guys see the painting I have there? This is one of the cool things. So while I was away, I noticed I had a couple anniversaries. I had a 5-year anniversary of me going to Egypt for the first time. This was the first week of December 5 years ago. And then a couple more years, like a year or two before that, I realized I had a 7-year anniversary of me going to Delphi while I was gone. And it's really funny because while I was away, I was speaking with one of my very, very close friends about my Akashic record. And I wanted to know whether or not my visions of being an oracle were true or not, because I have some that are confirmed past lives and others that are suspected past lives, and that was one of my suspected ones because I wasn't sure whether or not I made that whole shit up while I was under hypnosis, because I was technically like half conscious, half unconscious. And when you do that under hypnosis, you doubt every single fucking thing you say. Those of you who have had a hypnosis session and you didn't go completely under, but you had visions popping up, then you'll know what I mean, right? When you're like arguing with your ego and you're like, I totally made that shit up. And they're like, no, you didn't. But it was interesting because that was like 10 years ago that I had that vision under hypnosis. So 7 years ago, I decided to go to Delphi and to visit the place. And I had like 4 hours to myself there. It was lovely. I got there at like 7 in the morning. And I went and I sat by the temple and I got so emotional. I cried. I got so upset. I don't know why. So when I had the hypnosis session and found out I was an oracle, I was more inclined to believe it, right? And then when I saw that painting by John Collier in the 1800s, one I'm pointing to right there, this one, they call it the Pythia. That was her actual name, the Pythia. I started sobbing as well. So I bought the painting and I've just been feeling that was one of my past lives this whole time. So this week, ironically, before I even realized it was the anniversary, I asked if I was an oracle of Delphi and I had it confirmed. Yes, I was. And it was interesting, right? Because in that past life regression, I was poisoned. And I knew that I was poisoned. I felt that really deeply, right? So I said to my friend that I was visiting, I said, well, can you just check my record and validate if this is real? And she's like, oh yeah, I can see it. She goes, you were poisoned. And I was like, I fucking knew it. I knew it. I was like, why did they poison me? And she's like, well, a lot of people consider, because the oracle was supposedly one of the most powerful people in ancient Greece. I mean, literally kings would travel from across, like, we're talking the Mediterranean, as far as Egypt or whatever. Well, actually, Egypt probably had their own oracles, but people would come as far as Turkey to come and see the oracle and to get a message from her. It was one of those big, big deals, like people would not even wage war until they had the thumbs up from the oracle to do so, because she was kind of like the representative, it's like, I need to talk to God, but I can't really talk to God. So I'm going to talk to the oracle who can talk to the gods, if you know what I mean. She was in this temple of Apollo. So get this, right? I was told that during that past life, because they say, if you look at the painting, which you can't really see very well, there's like a crack in the earth there and there's smoke rising out of it. And she's holding bay laurel leaves. She's holding bay leaves in her hand, in one hand. And in the other hand, she's actually holding a bottle. In fact, I'm just going to show this to you. I'll show it easier on here. So what was interesting about this past life is that John Collier, where is it? So I could show you guys this image closely. Come on. Okay, there's the painting that I have behind me. You can see it a little bit better there. So there's her head. Her head is covered. She's holding the bay leaves in her hand. It's bay laurel. She's got the mirror, the water, it's like a mirror in her hand. And then she's got all this smoke coming out of the ground, right? And she's sitting in this chair with the clawed feet. Can't really see the clawed feet. Oh, there you can. So you can see the crack in the earth, right? And the bay leaves on the ground. So that's all I really knew about her. I didn't really know much about it. So what they explained to me was that all that shit you see coming out of the ground was actually like a smoke pit. They would fill it with incense and all kinds of funky shit. They would claim that it was just a crack that was coming out of the earth, but it was actually like a smoke pit, and they would fill it with all kinds of funky shit, and they would have us sit over the pit and breathe in all of these things, right? And when you breathe it in, you would see visions, or at least you'd see something. I don't know what you might see, but you have all kinds of visions that would pop up in your head, and that is what you would share with the people that were coming in. But what I did not know, because this was not brought to my attention until now, was that the Pythia was actually a slave. That the women were not there voluntarily. Story of our lives, right, ladies? But yeah, I was stolen as a child, or sold. I don't know. Usually it's sold or stolen. You get one or the other. But whenever they find a young lady that has the gift of sight, they say, they would take her to the temple and she would never leave again. You never left that building. You would literally be a slave. You would be sitting there in that chair from sunup to sundown, breathing in that horrible shit that they had you breathing in, and reciting any of those visions that you were allowed to see. But you were never seeing the money. In fact, most of the oracles didn't even know that the money was a thing, that people were being paid to have her recite these visions. So what was crazy is they would just be working all the time, thinking that they were just doing the will of the gods. But really, it was the will of the slave owners that owned the oracles and controlled them. And there were several of them. There wouldn't just be one lady. There would be several usually. And most of them died before age 30, I was told, because they were breathing in all of that shit, all the lung-related issues. But ironically, I didn't make it to age 30 because you guys know me. I recognized the fact that they were making money from us, and I really put a sour taste in my mouth. I did not appreciate the fact that they were messing, you know what I mean? That they were using us and abusing us, exploiting us. So I started giving them a hard time. I started not playing the game, so to speak. And yeah, that's when they poisoned me. The bastards, But it's interesting because they told me, like, that past life, there was a lot of how I see myself in this lifetime was rooted in that lifetime. So I've been holding on to a lot, which is one of the reasons why that came up is one of my first hypnosis sessions. I've been holding on to quite a lot of energy from that. Jill says the virgin oracles were stolen and imprisoned around the age of 7 to 9. I was one as well, but in my clearing I had done, we were set free and we were released. That's beautiful, Jill. I'm so happy to hear that for you. But yes, yeah, unfortunately, us oracles, there were a lot of them. I mean, this was a business for thousands of years. So, yeah, this was a hell of a thing. And when I went back there and I saw it, there's just something about being back there. You could feel it in your bones when you recognize a place you had already been. Have you guys ever had that before where you go to a place, like, I don't know, now you don't even have to travel for it. Sometimes you just go to a place and you're like, I have been here before. I just know it. Like, you know it on a deep soul level. So yeah, when that happens, usually you're actually there probably picking up soul fragmentation from yourself, because you leave bits of yourself in these places. You leave little sparks of light that you lost during the trauma and the horrible shit. So yeah, it is one of those things where sometimes it's actually good to go back to some of these places, but also keep in mind that it may trigger a past life resonance. And then so if you go to one of these places and then you start feeling some weird phantom pain for no reason, you may have a past life resonance. So if you have that happen, you can call in your guides and just say, I'm calling in my soul guides. I have phantom pain in my, I don't know, right shoulder. Can you please check my right shoulder to make sure there are no injuries and no implants and no weapons or anything that may be left in my etheric from anything that may have picked up? Because we sometimes will go to a place and we'll have that happen. where we will have pain just pop up out of nowhere, not knowing why, realizing that we just went to a place where we were fucking murdered and we just picked up a past life resonance of us going through that trauma. And so sometimes when you pick up these soul fragments of yourself, they need to be healed. So you can ask the guides, you say, please send healing to these soul fragments. Please clear anything from my etheric that should not be there. And please send healing down my timeline to my other self, so that way I can heal these other, versions of yourself. Because keep in mind that everything that your soul has ever been through, every alternate reality, every alternate life that you have ever lived is happening simultaneously. So all of the shit that you've been through in the past life, there's somewhere in reality right now that my ass is still sitting in that fucking chair, inhaling all of that shit, delivering these things, because that other version of me is still existing somewhere. She may be in another timeline, another dimension, another reality, but this is how you can tune into these things. Otherwise, when you go under hypnosis, you would not be tuning into that other version of yourself. So with hypnosis, you're actually tuning into alternate realities, crazily enough. So this is why hypnosis is fucking wild and why I've loved it for so many years. Because you never know what you're going to find. But just be aware that sometimes, and especially if you're a hypnotist, doesn't really know what they're doing, and they don't ask, because if you don't ask, you don't get, you have to send healing to those other versions of yourselves. Dolores knew this full well, because if you don't send healing, if you just open the book, read the book, you're traumatizing yourself. Again, you're ripping off the scabs, so to speak. So it's not just about opening the book and relearning that chapter. It's about healing that chapter and then closing the book again. Okay? Because if you leave that book open, it's going to keep affecting you. So it's very important to not only, transmute that fear and anger and frustration, because man, a lot of us are holding on to that. I found out just recently about a past life that I had in Scotland, where I was kept in a dungeon, ironically with Aaron Sineva. This is another thing I validated. Aaron and I were kept in the dungeon of this really awful castle, and it was very, very traumatic for me, well, for both of us. And we both processed it a bit differently. But we're still healing the trauma from that, because it is awful, the things that you are going through in these alternate realities. And the trauma and the pain and the anger from how you were treated can very easily bleed into these other versions of yourself, including this one. So, and keep in mind, this isn't even going into generational trauma, which Tracy just very wisely, mentioned, because generational trauma as well is also a factor. So it may not even be your trauma that you are technically tapping into. It may even be your generational trauma. As I mentioned last year, those fibroids that I was having were awful fibroids, and they were just the worst. And when I went for psychic surgery and found out why they were so bad, it was because of persecution of a mother. Apparently, in a past life, or I should say alternate life, I witnessed the persecution of my mother, where she was burned at the stake. And seeing that traumatized my entire female bloodline, because my great-grandmother had it, my grandmother had it, my mom has it, my sister has it, all of us have fibroids. So, and I was like, is this because we think, oh, okay, that's just genetics, right? We would immediately blame genetics and be like, oh yeah, it's just a genetic trait that's passed down from it. No, it's genetic trauma is what it is. Which ironically, with the psychic surgery, I healed it. It's nowhere near as bad as it was. It got to the point where they even wanted me to have a hysterectomy. That's how bad it was. And all of a sudden, after psychic surgery, gone. Like all my issues with it have disappeared. So it's healing the trauma. You heal the body, because your body remembers the trauma. So this is why hypnosis is very, very effective as well. You can help heal the trauma that way too, but just be aware that you may re-trigger trauma too. So that is the problem with hypnosis. If it's not done correctly, if they're not asking the right questions, if they're not sending healing down timelines and doing all the little nuances that are very important, this is what can happen. You can actually end up having a really funky feeling after a hypnosis session. So, JC says, I need to tell my sister this if she ever goes to does get hypnotized. Her therapist wanted her at that stage to now go see her trauma when she was younger. Now, see, this is this is why I say it's really good to know that your person knows what they're doing, okay? Because it's one thing to be like, "Oh, let's go visit your childhood trauma. Let's go and see what happened to you as a child." And then you go through it and then you find out that you were molested by somebody, or you find out that you were really badly beaten by the parent that you were like, he stopped, he did, it may come to a point where you don't even remember the trauma, is my point. It's like you may have an understanding of things that are completely different to reality, because memory is very funny that way. We can actually remember bits and pieces and have completely different understandings of things, especially when it comes to children that had parents with anger issues and things like that, because you have such a disparity between the love and the dark shit that happens. You know what I mean? I must admit, this is how it was with both of my parents, where I would have days where they were the best parents in the world and the worst parents in the world. So that also messes with you, because you have this whole flip-flop thing, understanding about relationships and yeah. That trauma, man, I'm telling you, it really messes with us here on Earth. It's like the biggest thing we're dealing with down here is trying to heal all the damn trauma, because that's the baggage that keeps our vibration down. So unfortunately, many of us, we're struggling with this whole 5D shift thing, trying to raise our vibration and heal ourselves. And a big portion of that is because of all the damn baggage we're carrying around. So that's the biggest thing we're all working on right now. There's been a lot of comments popping up. I'm trying to keep up here. Can you carry positive things from past lives? Oh, yes. Big time, Lynn. Lynn says, I had a QHHT session and learned that I had a pet bird in a past life. In this life, I've become interested in birds, and it feels so familiar. Absolutely, you can bring wonderful things from past life. In fact, to be honest, I think that happens more than the trauma. Sometimes it does, where, the whole point is that your guides are like, no, she needs to see this because she needs to heal this. But like I said, I've had some wonderful past life regressions where I got a deeper understanding of myself for that reason. So that is a very good thing. It's catch-22. You really never know which way it's going to go. That's why you got to gauge how you're feeling, especially after a hypnosis session. Because if you're feeling really good and you're feeling better, you're just feeling high vibe and you're buzzing after a hypnosis session, that's the result you want, right? Where you're just feeling like, woohoo, the world is my oyster, like that is usually how I feel after a really great hypnosis session. But there are other hypnosis sessions where you feel kind of funky, where you feel down, where you feel a bit depressed. That is when you may not have closed the book, so to speak. So if that is the case, I would call in your guides and ask them for help and just say, look, after my hypnosis session, I've been feeling a little down. I've been feeling a little tired. I've been feeling a little, emotional. So you can just ask them, say, hey, is there any chapters that did not get closed? Is there any healing that is still required? And you can speak to them like you're speaking to, a friend. And just ask them, say, please, I would need some help on just understanding what I downloaded. Understanding, because a lot of it, keep in mind, right? You get like a giant box of information, and sometimes that box is not unpacked in 4 hours of hypnosis, right? This is one of the reasons why Dolores always wants the session to be recorded, and so you can go back and listen to it later. Because when you listen to it later, even if you were fully conscious the first time, right, you may pick up things that you did not notice the first time you listened to, or I should say when it happened live. And sometimes you get more downloads too. So it's very important to listen to those hypnosis sessions. Just be aware of how you're feeling. Gauge your emotions, gauge your physical body, see how you're feeling afterward. Because like I said, you want those chapters to be closed. That is the whole point, right? Whenever I'm doing clearings on people and I check, are there any past life resonances that need to be cleared? One of the first things they'll say is, yes, there is a past life resonance. And they'll be like, okay, yeah, what is it? And just the other day, there was an interesting one where somebody asked me if I could check their son, and I did. And they had an injury. I believe it was a skateboarding injury where they injured both ankles very badly. to the point where they were almost like paralyzed, like from their ankles up. I would say paralyzed, but they couldn't really, use their feet very easily because of it. And this was they were having surgery on their feet and all of these things. So I did a check and I found a past life resonance of their feet being crushed by a Roman troop transport. And I was like, really? A troop transport? Like a wagon? They're like, no, this is no wagon, Laura. They're like, this thing can hold like 300 troops. Like, that's how big this thing was. It was like this giant rolling, I don't even know what. It's like a train of things that they were dragging along with all of these soldiers and things on it. Well, apparently, like something happened with it, and this one Roman soldier got his feet completely crushed by the troop transport. And apparently that re-triggered the past life injury. And when you re-trigger a past life injury, the injury starts to manifest. Obviously, it's probably not going to be as bad in this reality. It's kind of like if you guys saw what happened to my hands a few weeks ago, and I had those like marks. See, the scars are almost gone, right? Where I got splashed by hot oil. I had massive, massive burns all over my hands, and it looked awful. And then I realized I actually triggered a past life resonance, and that was when they put my hands in oil for starting a revolution in India, 300 AD. So you never know. Sometimes you tune into these things and you're completely unaware. Cricket has a question. Hi, Cricket. Not sure if you saw my comment earlier. Do you know why a person would wake up in the middle of the night with their mouth open and locked? That's a new one for me. Open and locked. You may have been trying to yawn in your sleep, because if you think about it, yawning happens when you're trying to release something, right? If you're trying to release pressure, whenever there's an earthbound around, I yawn like crazy because I'm trying to release the energy that they're giving me. So whenever you yawn like that, you're releasing the energy. As you'll see with Ferris tomorrow, Ferris is coming on the podcast. Ferris opens his mouth very, very wide, and this is a very shaman way of doing clearings. Because ironically, whenever you're yawning, you're cleansing that energy. No fear or anything. Then I think you were just releasing. Yep. Chantal says, I burp. Burping is another way of releasing. Yep. Burping and farting. Yes, entirely. This is why if you ask Tracy, Tracy's like, she burps and she's like, thank you. So cute. Every time she burps, she's like, thank you. Because you're releasing. You're getting rid of it. There's all kinds of stuff. Yes, and Ferris does the split thing too. I'm bringing him on to do some healing tomorrow. I'm really excited to see Ferris. I love Ferris to bits. In fact, it's funny. I've been asking like recently about all these different people I bring on my podcast, because everybody I bring on my podcast now I make sure is sovereign and I check them. And I asked about Ferris the other day just because I was curious. I'm like, tell me something about Ferris to my guides. And my guides were like, Ferris is awesome. They were like, no, we can't say enough nice things about Ferris. My guides were like, oh, yeah, Ferris is the man. It's really funny because they were like, yeah, he's just very close to source. He's extremely high vibration. He's a very powerful galactic style, the energy. He's got 2 Pleiadian guides that work with him, too. So Ferris is he's amazing, which is one of the reasons why, as you'll notice, he's very effective as a healer. He's a bit unconventional because shamans are always unconventional. But you'll notice tomorrow, for some of you who've never met Ferris before, how incredible of a healer he is. What advice do you have for when you feel sleep paralysis coming on? Well, if you feel it's entity-induced, right? If you feel that spooky juju around you when it's coming in, if you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're just paralyzed and you can feel something in the room with you, that is when you tell it to fuck off. I'm serious. You tell it, hey, get the fuck out of here. You say, go now, immediately, get out of here. You don't have my permission to be here. You don't have I have free will. Get the hell out. You got to put your foot down. Do not tolerate any shit. You can throw love bomb balls at them too. You can visualize a ball of light in your hand. And even if you can't move your hand, you can still visualize light just emitting out of every orifice of your body, right? And blast them off with light. That's what I do. You can also visualize violet flame. And violet flame will just be burning all that shit off all over you, just getting it off. Just visualize. It was really funny, right? Actually, as I was walking through security, I was visualizing violet flame around me. Like I had my eyes closed and I was just burning everything around me with violet flame. So yeah, there's different ways that you can clear energy, even if you are paralyzed physically. You can still visualize. You can still tell them with your thoughts that they do not have your permission and to get the hell out. But just be aware that sometimes when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're doing the sleep paralysis, if you don't feel anything spooky, it may just be that you're going back into your body. Because keep in mind, like astral projection does this to you too. If you're astral projecting, your body goes to sleep and your mind stays awake. So if your mind is awake and your body is asleep, you're going to feel that you're paralyzed, which if you're astral projecting is a good thing because you're trying to get your body to go to sleep. So if you notice that, that is when it's a good thing and you can tell your body it's okay, no need to panic. And then you can lock yourself back into body. You can visualize yourself slowly going back into body and locking into place. It's kind of like the opposite of practicing astral projection, because when you're practicing astral projection, you visualize yourself leaving your body. You visualize your body going to sleep, your mind staying awake, and you visualize yourself leaving and lifting up out of your body. So you're essentially ungrounding yourself intentionally, right? So when you're going back into body, you ground yourself intentionally. You visualize the roots, you visualize yourself falling back into body, and you visualize it locking back into place, because sometimes it can be kind of out of phase too. And then you'll feel really ungrounded and weird when that happens. So if you come back wrong, it's going to feel like that. So you want to lock it back down, your astral body to your physical body, if you know what I mean. Because otherwise you're not going to feel grounded. You're going to feel weird. You're going to feel wobbly. You're going to feel tired. I always call it sleep drunk. When I wake up feeling sleep drunk, that's how I knew I was out of body and doing something. And keep in mind that many of us are doing all kinds of things. If you are doing spirit release work when you're awake, I almost guarantee you're still doing spirit release work when you're sleeping. You're still doing clearings in your sleep. I know because I'm doing it myself. I catch myself all the time. So this is another reason why you need to do psychic protection every night before bed. I don't care if you're practicing astral projection or not. I don't care if you're a healer or a hypnotist or a spirit release person such as myself, or even if you're just a normal everyday person that likes to go and work at the hospital. You need these practices every day before bed. You need to visualize psychic protection, because unfortunately the dream state is not, it's like going out in public. It's it's not exactly loaded with the nicest of spirits. So anyway, I am realizing now it is 11 o'clock. Time to switch over to Astara and have a little face-to-face chat with you guys. So wonderful chat today. Thank you all for joining me. I've really missed you guys. It's good to be here and be able to connect with you guys every day. I love it. It's the highlight of my day, hanging out with you guys. Janet says, what psychic protection before bed would you recommend? I do the golden egg. I do a 3-layer protection now because I'm serious about these things. So I do a golden egg around my very close etheric. This golden egg protects you from anything that is trying to get close to you. You know what I mean? So it's like well, the reason I do it is because my guides put me around when I was dealing with some really bad psychic attacks. That's what my guides put around me, was this golden egg. And I was like, oh, brilliant. I'm going to use that. So I felt amazing in that golden egg. So you visualize this golden egg that's around you closely. And then I like to visualize this black obsidian. Like I have my favorite crystal for protection. This is my rainbow obsidian that I use. So I visualize a rainbow obsidian bubble around myself. So you can see like the colors that kind of are in there. So I visualize all those colors like swirling around this rainbow obsidian. It's like a big bubble that goes around me. And around that, I've been putting a Faraday cage because, the Faraday is actually blocking the AI that is trying to come in too. So, well, there you go. Michelle says, I just got rainbow obsidian eggs. There you go. So you could do a rainbow obsidian egg. I like to do the golden egg because it imbues my energy with light and it, holds me close, that golden egg. But then you visualize that obsidian bubble around the golden egg, protecting that. And then, like I said, I like to do the whole Faraday cage thing now, like that Tesla cage where where you have like, something blocking AI. But for children, obviously, you don't need to get that elaborate with it. You could just tell them put themselves in a golden egg, or you could tell them to just have a big bubble of light, or you could tell them, my favorite is the invisibility cloak actually for kids, because if you tell kids to put on an invisibility cloak like Harry Potter, funnily enough, whenever I'm working with Katie, she's like, "You got your cloak, Laura?" Because Katie does not like, this is one of the things that I'm frustrated about, right? Where I will just be sitting there asking the questions, typing in the responses, and then Katie will be like, "Can you step back, please?" And I'll be like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "No, your energy is in this. Can you like go put on your cloak, Laura?" I'm like, "What?" Like, this is the funny thing, is that your subconscious, your higher self, and all kinds of parts of you are doing things without even being aware of it. So it reminds me of the time where I was doing a healing session with my lovely friend Sephora, and Sephora is like, "You are aware that as I'm checking you out, you're checking me out, right?" She's like, "It's not a bad thing. I don't mind. I'm happy to. I'm just letting you know you're doing it." She's like, "Because I'm sitting here doing a scan on you, and then all of a sudden Laura shows up and she's doing a scan on me." I was like, "I'm scanning you?" She's like, "Yeah, right now you're doing it." And I was like, "What are you doing?" Like, I feel like poking myself in the head. Hey, who's up there? Who's doing that? Because it's not me. I was not consciously doing that. So it does make you wonder, like, what your mind gets up to, even when you're just sitting there mindlessly typing what you're hearing. So yeah, it's kind of funny. Just keep in mind, like, all of these things are they're very interesting. So make sure that you're doing your invisibility cloaks or whatever it is. I love the invisibility cloaks because you just literally just like a hood, tie it up, pull up to the hood, and you're done. So I would tell the kids, yeah, just put them in a golden egg and put an invisibility cloak on, and they're fine. So anyway, love you guys. I'm gonna switch over to Astara. I will see you guys on the mentorship side just now. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow with Ferris. Love you guys. I'll see you soon. Take care.